Welcome back, everyone, to the night. Jason, this is like the third time I tried to do the intro. I hear woos, and I don't know why.
My mouth was not moving. There is proof, chat. That is not me doing it.
Yep. Man who claims not to have a soundboard. But all that aside, this is Night Shift. We are rolling into NA. It's ZP here with Jason Kaplan and Jason. For NA, this could be a seismic shift. We've had another roster change up on the Floormen, but more than anything else, it's the return of Rocker. And every time he returns to play after a hiatus, his team manages to win. And this time around, it would be dethroning melee creeps. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. They have to get through.
We saw them last week, no? Play.
No, Rocker was not last week.
Was he not?
Nope. Rocker just came back.
Hydration and Zirbzy left the team, and then Goober and Rocker came in.
No, Rocker, that happened for this week. Unless I'm forgetting something. Maybe I'm losing my mind.
I'm pretty sure. There's been a lot of AWUs happening in chat, and I spent probably the majority of the last match adding in 7TV emotes for everyone out there. But you know, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think NA is probably the really fun region to watch now, considering we have like 4, maybe 5 teams who can kind of all compete. Maybe not take down melee creeps. We haven't seen that happen yet. But NA has proven to be the most interesting region to watch. Maybe that's changing though with Low-Key W. Able to at least get into the money match for the first time. Or the first time it's like any team besides Leviathan, I guess we can say.
Yeah, I mean, EU, it's kind of good to see some evolution there. NA, EU was kind of in a rhythm for a while, but with Listic and Sherrick coming back to competition, it makes things a little bit more interesting. But let's get down to the brass tacks of what makes a Night Shift tick. We got our schedule here. Of course, you just saw EU. Now we're getting into NA, where it is Floormen versus Bunny with Clock taking on in a best of one. The winner to go up against the perennial champions of North America in the melee creeps. So, yeah, NA and EU, they've both had consistent champions, but, kind of ripe for a change here, Jason. Maybe time for an upset, but you take a look at NA, one of the longest streaks we've had in NA. I think the longest, because even Hydra Nation at their best is not able to, they weren't able to put together this long of a string. Like, they would lose every 6 or 7, but melee creeps, not so much.
I think they got 12 in a row as Hydra Nation. I think. Is that right? I think back in the Fight Night era, they had 12 in a row.
No, I think they dropped one. I think they still dropped one in between that. I may be wrong. I feel like they didn't quite get that many, or if they did, it was right at the beginning.
I'm sure someone's going to hit us up on Twitter and be like, you guys are idiots. How don't you know they actually got this many? But we do have, really quickly here, a tip, a donation directly to the prize pool, ZP, by Arviz Roke, who says, vote for Venator. I wanted to say someone else, but you know what? You tipped $100. I'm not gonna cheap out on you and say the hero I want to come through. But
also,
yeah,
Jason,
so much.
I had the update. I just looked for myself. You were in fact gaslighting me because Floormen didn't even play last week, so the Rocker couldn't have been on the team. I'm sitting here, I'm just like, dude, there's no way. I was just sitting here, that doesn't make any sense. Like, this is a this week thing. And it's just like, I was like, they didn't even play.
You gotta believe in yourself, ZP. Don't let some devil on your shoulder, i.e. me, convince you of something differently. But yeah, this is it's gonna be good, man. I really honestly, Bunny with Clock, Floormen's gonna be great. I really want to see Floormen versus Hydration. I think that one's gonna be interesting. Whenever we get to that, whatever week that might be. But man, going into this game, I think this is probably the closest. No, it's not second place. Like closest challenger match we could have in North America at the moment.
I think so. And, we got to talk about the challengers, the Floormen, where, by the way, this is the first iteration of, well, it was the former Hydra Nation, but there's no more Hydration on the team. To bring in Goober and Rocker, it was Hydration and Zirbzy that were taken out, and Hydration has revived Hydra Nation. So it's basically the team that was formerly Hydra Nation, and now there's an actual Hydra Nation. NA has just spawned a brand new competitive team, but this is what remains of the Floormen. So a lot of pieces being shuffled around. But as I said with Rocker, when Rocker comes back to play after a hiatus, his team just wins, Jason. That has been the trend in Deadlock now for about a year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, honestly, because the funny thing is Rocker also moved to support. And I think it was AVG that was talking about it, saying like he kind of wanted to go play support, and AVG actually thinks that is probably going to be the best role for him because you have the ability to sit back and kind of get vision of what's all happening in the fights and have the most impact. So with him transitioning of his kind of role within the team, I think this is going to give us a lot of potential in this roster.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see if they're able to put it all together. But of course, our opposition, the team that's been effectively the number 2 in NA over the last many weeks, it is Bunny with Clock. And, the interesting thing, don't forget, this is a team that was made by Poshipop. Poshipop was the guy in Bunny with Clock, and then he left to join Floormen, and it hasn't necessarily been all success. Bunny with Clock, they, got in Matt, and they've just been rolling right along with some household names on top of it. Probably first in my mind is how Aiden the Destroyer has probably made themselves known as the foremost Vindicta main, even though we may not see as much Vindicta. We'll see. I think it may have been a buff to Vindicta. Like, people are saying, oh, no, it's a nerf. She doesn't get as many souls. She was ruining her team's econ because you don't want Vindicta to necessarily have that many souls, but now Vindicta can theoretically get a lot of extra weapon damage and be a threat without that being reflected in a way that you're giving up comeback souls and everything else. So I don't know exactly where the NA players are going to, explore that tonight if they do, but I think that change is a little bit more complicated than, say, straight buff, straight nerf, and so on.
Well, if anyone can make it work, it's going to be Aiden. And, speaking of mainstays here in Deadlock, Jax Libido coming in with 10 gifted into the channel as well. Big thank you to Jax Libido. Getting everyone else out there 10 subs closer before we release the Abrams skin at 1,200 subs, which we still have for you guys, our Nate Shift Abrams skin. But this team, I mean, I think they've shown potential. The one part that I'm going to be like hypercritical on ZP, and honestly, I hope he doesn't listen back to this and then get really mad at me, is that Aiden hasn't really flourished in his new role within the team, because he's kind of been like that Vindicta main, and he's been heavily focus banned in the past. But like transitioning to Warden or transitioning to Geist, or even I don't think he's played Viscous actually. He hasn't accomplished as much as he's been able to do in Vindicta. I think that's kind of the unfortunate hill that he has to climb as a player, is make his other heroes as good and scary as his Vindicta was.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue his number 2 hero has probably been his Mina overall, but oftentimes you haven't been able to get Mina in recent NA because Mina will get banned, or, it's a high priority pick. For Aiden, it's kind of like Vindicta, Mina all the way up here, and then everything else quite a bit lower. But that's also the cycle in NA when players are on the rise, right? I mean, you think back to it, there was one point where people were like, oh man, that John guy, just if he's not a Morden or Bebop, he's bad. And then we've gone through like 8 iterations of people trying to ban out John, and you actually can't do it anymore, right? So, it's a cycle. And now Aiden is being exposed to that cycle as we got exposed to another $50 donation from Enflate Ion, and we'll get to the message in just a little bit.
Tell my buddy Ghazi to stop doing classwork and get on Deadlock. Thanks, love the stream, guys. And also, before that 50, we had another 50 from Jax Libido come through with the note, Jason is right. Floormen did play last week. It definitely was not no earnings, and he did not try gaslighting you. So that was not his note. That was not his note. He's $50.
Now we need the other person to come in and be like, no, the term isn't gaslighting, it's gas lamped. That's what we were talking about. Yep. Chat, definitely not trying to mess with your mind, but you know what's not messing with anything? It's our 1v1. And I'm sorry, Mo and Krill Nation, it will return the Mo and Krill eventually, but for now, Jason, we got it. Silver v silver, boot kick is allowed, and the rest nothing but melee, as it is AVG taking on some name that's attacking Rem's existence.
I can't, it moves too fast. You know what, we need to do a proper intro to this as a great parry comes through and I have AVG. Oh my god, he's gonna close out, he gets parried again. So they win it, they get the choice. We need like an entry screen, where you have them both coming from both sides and they're like looking angry at each other, and you hear like the ding ding, so we know who's actually playing in these, because we can never tell. Floormen, they get the choice of first pick or second, and also Brofester41 came in with 10 gifted subs as well here. A lot of support for the community here today, ZP.
Absolutely. I mean, look, it is a great day. We're only halfway through the hero releases. I mean, you think about it, Jason, we're gonna have another 2 next week. Things keep heating on up, and we'll get to Apollo eventually. He's probably gonna be 6. We'll see though. As Floormen come in with the first ban Warden. You look disgusted, Jason. At the first ban Warden.
Oh my god.
You didn't see it coming.
Why? I mean, I almost think that's like a throwaway ban targeted at Aiden, not necessarily like a focus ban, or not necessarily the focus ban, but I don't think they were intending to play Warden. I think it was more putting Aiden in an uncomfortable situation, so maybe Silver gets through. And also, can we say what's the opposite of a woo? Second ZP. From Tailspin in chat, I bet ZP has at least 8 empty Diet Coke cans in his room right now. Now, you know what? We're not going to shame you, but is that true or false?
False, it's currently 4. So, divide that in half is where we're at.
All right. Okay, so
there you go.
Silver being banned out. Honestly, I was saying in the graveyard shift today with Blank before we started the broadcast, I expected Silver to be permanently banned out the entire night. Was surprised to see it come through in EU and come through every game. I don't think it was banned a single time. But honestly, in North America, I expect it to be banned every single match. I don't expect to see Idol be able to play it yet again compared to the scrims they've had earlier this week.
Yeah, I mean, NA seems to have a much higher opinion of Silver. Even though EU was first picking it a lot, EU didn't feel like give up Silver, lose game. To quite the extent that NA just feels like Silver is ridiculous. I mean, Floormen, Pashi, I think, had an entire video talking about it. Ido was talking about it. I just think NA's level of respect for Silver is quite high. But the other thing that's higher in NA right now, Jason, is the respect for Geist, where I think EU was underpicking Geist as far as value goes. You think back to the last balance patch, not a lot really hit Geist directly as it hit some of the other heroes. So I think Geist's value as a frontliner is way higher, and this is an appropriate time to pick in the draft. And you get a Billy on top of it. I mean, Jason, I got one word for you talking about the Floormen draft right now, and that's chonk.
Can you explain that word a little bit to me really quick?
Chonky.
I'm slightly confused.
Big, large.
Okay.
You have incredibly tanky frontliners, Jason, is what's going on. And, Bunny with Clock, they highly prioritize the Mirage. That's for Arctic.
Well,
that is 100% giving Arctic one of his key heroes, especially when he can't play the Shiv.
I'm trying to remember, actually. Is it going to be Arctic or will it be Aiden? Because with Geist and Warden gone, I don't expect to see Mina necessarily picked up, especially now with the Mirage on the lineup. I think there's just a little bit too much squish going your way. Yeah, I mean, it most likely will be Arctic, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes Aiden's way for some reason as we get deeper into these picks. But with the Holiday banned out, I mean, if you're... honestly, Bebop is insanely good right now. I think you saw over in EU how good he is. Like, the missing health and heal with the uppercut is so impactful. So now it's Buddy with Clock. You have to take Bebop here. You do not give the Goober Bebop in this game.
Well, also, the effect of a playmaker is way higher right now. You have both Paradox and Holiday off the table. It's kind of almost weird for Floormen to come in with the ban thereafter, because now, Bunny with Clock, they're going to grab Bebop, and your initiation options, now you kind of have to go body check Haze, body check Mo and Krill. Like, you have to get your playmaking from a distinctly different source. Also, though, Jason, this draft is so much different than EU, where EU highly prioritizes more supportive things, like your Page and your Rem. And, okay, Viscus comes on in, which is good. I think Viscus has been undervalued, but also, where in the world is Page and Rem? They should have been gone way earlier in the draft.
Yeah, honestly, it completely skipped my mind to not see either of them banned or picked near the top of the lineup here. I mean, even a Great Talon coming through, I mean... Sure, they're going to get Rem or Page, right? Like, is Great Talon that contested of a pick that you want to choose him over Rem or Page to pair with the rest of your team?
I don't think so. And I think with Bunny with Clock, I mean, look, you got Abrams, Yamato, you have a pretty good amount of beefy characters. Yeah, you're going to go grab the Rem to go with it. But also, you stop and think about it for Floormen. With Billy, Geist, Shiv, you would love to have a Page with that, and it's going to be some sort of criminal action, Jason. If they're actually able to pick up the Page as late as final overall pick, that would be absurd. Pocket also, I think, dropping this late is kind of weird. Like, I think I look at this draft here and almost feel like you had an overpick of both Mirage and GT.
I mean, Pocket into GT is a little bit rough, no? I mean, he's the only hero left who has negative spirit resist, and we already saw what Hoot can do with that. And they even go with Mina on top of this. That's a lot of damage, ZP, and they don't have catch, but they have so much damage on their team that I don't know if Bunny with Clock can hold up against this. I'm also curious, more importantly, what kind of build is Goober going to go with the Viscus in particular? I think he's one of the few remaining Viscus players left, and he won't be playing a gun anymore. He plays it more supporty style, maybe back to his old school assassination of Majestic Leap. But I look at these like lineups, man. I want to say we're both kind of ingredients with Floormen.
Yeah, as I look at it here,
I like you there for a second.
Wait, what's you know what? I'm gonna let it go.
Assuming you were with Floormen, you know?
Yeah, no, I am with Floormen though. As I look at it, and it's mostly, I mean, Bunny with Clock. I mean, Abrams Yamato is good. I think, I don't know. Actually, the more I'm thinking it over, the Rem may be putting over the top. I think getting Rem that late into the draft is pretty darn good, along with the pocket. The front line of Floormen is scary, but you don't have the support that's generally made it scary. Like when EU drafts that big of a front line, you're usually getting something like a Page with it. I don't think Viscous, I think, is undervalued, but he's not giving you the same level of ridiculous sustain that you're getting out of either a Page or a Rem in that same role. So, you know, I look at this Floormen draft and I go, you could have grabbed Page last instead of the Mina, and it would have been a lot better on paper than me. So I don't know. On one hand, you have the rocker factor for Floormen, which has been a consistent theme in terms of he comes back, they just win. Bunny with Clock, though, I actually prefer their draft.
I'm so confused, actually, now that you mentioned Rocker again. What the hell is Rocker going to play? If he's truly playing
GT.
support for the team.
No, I think Rocker's GT. Did they tell you he was playing support? I mean,
yeah, they talked about it. They're put him in the support role, and he wants to play support role. So this is a little bit interesting. Honestly, I would have liked to have seen Rem on Floormen's side, because I think the nap time is so strong, especially with the changes to the tier 3 nap time that has even quicker of a cooldown. It can really be impactful and kind of like facilitates some sort of catch. But I think the most important thing here, ZP, is that because there's no silver, we don't have to awoo.
You know what? We should still find something to woo over. Maybe like every goo ball we see is like a woo, but you know, a little bit like viscousy. I don't know how to do it.
Every time Lord and M dies, we woo. So we'll be doing it a lot. Just kidding, kidding, Lord and M. I'm just kidding.
How much Vegas pay you? When did that hit your bank account, Jason? Like, where's the Vegas payment?
I will not talk about it
for this Lord and M slander.
I will not talk about it, but this is gonna be interesting though. I mean, obviously the winner of this goes on to play against melee creeps, and then we do have a graveyard shift after the show is done with Mr. Cool Cheese himself, which you're currently gonna see playing in this game.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if Rocker is just on the GT again. Is like, I mean, well, they said I was a support, and he pulls out the Glock, as it were.
They're not even playing really with the support, like. So yeah, wait. Rocker, and then it's Goober on Viscous. It's so weird because like I don't think Goober is gonna be like a good support player, but he loves playing like low econ.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of interesting how this team comp has been developed. That being said, look at the right hand lane. I mean Shiv Mina, it's okay. In the past, this would be an absolutely horrifying lane. Shiv's early laning did get a bit weaker with the knife changes. Like Shiv is not as punishing as he used to be, but I think just the mere fact you have Mina in that lane still makes it a bit scary, even against Yamato Pocket.
Yeah, he's very weak, very weak early on. You really want to punish that. And just a note here for Bunny Clock, because we were like kind of split on where we thought the Mirage was going. It indeed will be Aiden playing the Mirage, and Arctic's going to be on the Yamato, which we heard from Blank earlier on the Graveyard Shift that we should expect to see more Yamato now going forward. And if you didn't see the Graveyard Shift, well, as long as you're a Patreon supporter or a Twitch sub or a YouTube member, you get free access to that every time we do it live, and you get to ask questions in chat.
That's right. It's always a good time. And, you know, we wrangled down Blank today, and we're going to do a better job of wrangling down players. Players were a little bit evasive this week, where they're just like, it's a new patch. I don't want a podcast. It's like, no. We'll persuade them. We'll find them. But as we take a look at the map and where things are getting really up close and personal on the left-hand side right now. I just see Abrams and Billy getting deep into it. As you see Tanner right now running for the hills. Super low HP. Rem support not quite enough to save Tanner this time around.
It's got to feel good, right? Seeing Tanner die.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, that's a callback to people who might not remember the bully in high school, or as if he was named Tanner. But in the meantime, we do see a return kill on the other side of the map. Arctic able to start off strong with initial kill. And I mean, Lord and M died, so do we woo, or is that just a joke?
Woo!
Oh my god, you were supposed to say it's just a joke.
No. Look, you're on cast now. You can. We made the other side where Silver was getting played all the time. It's like, do all the awoos. You know, it's only fair that we find a time to do some.
Hey, they did forget about it though in map 1 of the finals.
True. Also, you take a look at left-hand side. This is a full homeless Viscous a little bit. Where this has, of course, been more popular in NA. Oftentimes you run heroes like Viper on the homeless setup where you're wondering, what does homeless mean? It means you're not attached to your lane as much. It means that once boxes spawn, you're more willing to go in and create mismatches on the other lane. So I'm curious if Goober is actually going to play more of a roaming Viscous here than what we've seen in the past.
Maybe. I mean, I do want to see him get more involved in these fights and give him. I mean, first I want to see him given like a damage dealer, like a more of a carry role within a team. And well, Tanner's going to catch on to Rocker here, leaving AVG all alone to defend under this Guardian. No 1-on-2. I mean, it's not like it's going to go down anytime soon, but if you compare like the frontliners, Tanner and Arctic already off to a good start. Aiden as well at 3,000 souls, and already initially good play here for Bunny with the Clock.
Yeah, not bad at all. And take a look at Cool Cheese. Cool Cheese is on the move, potentially looking for a piece of right-hand side. Of course, it's still a minute away till the buff, so this would be a play set up for the gank attempt, as Cool Cheese is being about as stealthy as a very large robot can be. Hopping over, looking for the hook. Sanguine Retreat is already popped here by Mina. And now, waiting for the opportunity. Lands the hook and the bomb. That's going to be a dead Lord NM. Ooh. Oh.
The wolf had a voice crack going through puberty there. Yeah, I think it was a very risky kind of gank to go for, because he was really like committing for that one, right? He was there for like around 30 seconds of time, but the early slowing hex investment, and once you get that Sanguine Retreat out, it's just relatively a free kill over into Lord NM, who's going to be very squishy on the Mina. And then he gets another hook here on the Posture Pop this time, as the cube comes through. And again, because like the bombs have been, you know, kind of nerfed, right? They don't really stack as bigly as they did in the past. Instead of being around like the 100 part where it has like a reduced damage or a reduced increase in damage, it's around 60. I'm like fully expecting to see these like uppercuts maxed out and playing more of that supporty route instead of going for those bombs. And
Bomb has to be the most repeatedly changed ability in all of Deadlock. I feel like any balance patch, no matter what is going on, it's just various bomb reworks. As Matt and Mina again on into it here, the lovers quarrel, as it were. And just a little bit back and forth as Lord NM is leaving the exchange. Although Cool Cheese right now is chasing, lands the hook. Sanguine, both charges have been used, and this looks like Lord NM is about to go down one more time. And hey, a little preemptive there, Jason. You didn't know.
I knew it was gonna happen. You know, it's well, you know, I'll get back to it in a second as we do see the size of impact come through. Try to again go for this Guardian, get this damage in. They have Aiden here as well. So they really want to commit for this early Guardian as Rem on the run. Gibbs going for a potential chase here over on AVG, who's just trying to get away from that. Well, the fluffy pillow. It shouldn't hurt, but it does, because there's an anvil inside of it. But, you know, I didn't really... I mean, I think we're talking about, you know, the bomb changes. I think one of the most interesting changes is to dispel magic. That I want to see its impact on pro play.
Oh my... Tanner just got smushed into the ground there. That was a goo ball that just stopped with authority. As his head just sunk right into it, and even more pressure now onto the Rem. Gibbs in all sorts of danger. Critical HP, desperately trying to stay alive. He's just a little guy. He's splattered against the wall, Jason.
You know, if we talk about Aiden being so good that it draws bans out of Vindicta, Goober is very similar when it comes to his Viscous. You see him do some like great bounce tech as well. I mean, one thing you might see him do is bounce on it a little bit later on if he does go for a warp stone, where you can just repeatedly bounce and pop a target inside of that goo ball. It opens up 2 kills in that lane that they kind of honestly desperately need. They're still down 2k, and the pressure is being applied into this mid lane to look for this first Guardian of the game.
And that Guardian is getting burned down all sorts of fast. This Bunny with Clock is going to pick up middle Guardian. Definitely of the Guardians, the most impactful one you can get, just because of what it opens up for rotations across the map. Maybe it gives up some damage on the left-hand side, but not even too much, as we see Gibbs on the rotation back towards the left.
So, I also want to see how Gibbs levels his abilities up. I think that's going to be an interesting thing to keep track of. Because we did have a difference between EU and NA. I think it was Saint, he likes to level, or sorry, NA likes to level the tag along first, the 2, and max that, where EU likes to level the little helpers, the 3, because the extra like push power it gives you, the ability to bounce around, the spirit resist, you can give your whole team looking for fights. And currently he's just sitting at like 1 apiece. I believe Gibbs likes to actually go for ult max first. So we're seeing like 3 different kind of styles when it comes to Rem so far.
I just think that's good design. If you hit a point where pro players don't instantly get a consensus, it means that your choices are pretty meaningful. For me, I think if you're running, you know, EU tends to prioritize the frontliners even harder, so tag along being higher priority probably makes a bit of sense there, just to, you know, get extra benefit. But off on the right-hand side, things get a little bit in flux here. Just defending off at the Guardian. Meanwhile, take a look at Shiv and Mina, not rotating over just yet. And taking place here in the library. Shadow transformation pulled out, and here's Goober up close and personal with Goo Ball in close quarters. Takes a little bit of moment. Up, over, looking for Yamato. Just needs a little bit more. It's 1 HP. Wait, hasn't gotten in here just yet. Arctic is somehow still alive, but not for long as League finds it on the end. But that delay might have cost Goober his life.
Yeah, Aiden comes in and closes out the kill with the Jin's mark. And now League looking to run back towards lane for the assistant of AVG. I mean, Aiden, he's at 7.5k. He's starting to really snowball. Him and Arctic together starting to do some serious work as Lord goes for a push onto the mid lane Guardian. Pops that Nox Nostra. Eventually just goes for the finish, and it will eventually...
You know, I almost feel like we should mix up. You know, you get one, I get one, but I think it's been 4 awoos so far. Like, I wouldn't be counting in my head how many times Lord NM has died, but the awoo system, it kind of works, Jason.
I got you. You know what? Next one, if there's a next one, I'll say I got a special thing lined up.
Okay, you can grab the next one. That is completely okay. Also, you know, talk about builds and seeing how things are developing. You know, early healing Nova, Guardian board for Gibbs, and you know, a build that's become more standard as people have been exploring how to make Rem best, and you know, it's usually going to be a very support-based role.
Bro, they buffed his shield like that blows my mind. From 20 to 25%. Like, he already had like 700 HP shields, if not more than that. You could easily get above that point, and then giving him even more and reduce the cooldown of his ultimate at tier 3. Like, it's kind of crazy how much Rem got buffed, because I thought he was actually pretty decent in his current state. I didn't think he was weak whatsoever, especially as we talked about him being kind of like the other side of the coin when it came to Page, like someone that could match up and fill a similar role.
Also, Jason, a really early rotation Bunny with Clock. They pulled far more people here at the beginning for the earned pickup and zoning Floormen out a bit. However, disrupting that pickup, you got Floormen with Goober. And now both teams getting into it. Of course, earn pickup more valuable than it's ever been for the new earn turn-in mechanics. Goober dancing around. Bird explodes middle of the team fight. Goober going a little bit deeper, but as this goes on, Earn is picked up by League, who's just running away as Lord and him is able to finish Gibbs. Affliction dropping a little bit later into the fight. We'll see what cleanup comes here as Aiden's able to find Pashi.
I mean, they need to commit for this fight too, because AVG's pushing a Guardian down. The Urn's already halfway rotated across the map. Arctic needs to go for this chase and will take down Rocker. And it seems like they might actually get Cool Cheese in position in time to deny this away while also picking up a Guardian and inevitably a win when it came to the Urn fight. So now the rotations coming back in for Bunny with Clock, even Floormen doing the same. And the Urn turning, we're going to see another fight right off the back of the first.
Here comes the dunk. No, it's interrupted. The Urn is just sitting there ripe for the taking. Nap time in on the top from Gibbs as Cool Cheese comes in, grabs the Urn. Courtesy of the nap time, the intercept from Bunny with Clock takes the Urn away from the Floormen. And what a great contest that was. The Urn actually dropped on the spawn point, Jason. It doesn't get closer than that.
No, and now AVG's gonna follow too, and Bunny with Clock, a massive victory here, 6,000 soul lead so far, and gonna turn this into another with League inevitably gonna be falling for this, but not before he takes down Tanner. Actually, to be fair, Aiden's kind of low, but Aiden is quite fed at 12k. He takes him down as another fight between Pashi Pop and Arctic is still brewing on the left-hand side.
Geist running for her life is Pashi, and man, oh man, that is a heartbreaker for Floormen. And some of the skirmishes towards the end, I mean, okay, Cool Cheese drops. You know, Floormen able to grab a few consolation kills. And, you know, they're not that far behind on the whole, but to give up some kills in the Urn pickup and then get denied right on the dunk, that's gotta hurt, especially for Gibbs, who, to me, was the MVP of that, Jason, with just the impeccably timed nap time.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're seeing how strong Rem can be. And I believe Gibbs is going to continue to go in towards maxing ult unless he has changed things up from before. One thing we have to worry about is like Arctic, he's also at 12k. If you're looking at the economy, it's not that big of a lead, no. But like I'm looking where the farm mostly is and seeing Aiden Arctic already off to a strong start. Matt's still in proximity with 11k, but to be honest, all he really needs to do is max his Affliction and hit, you know, a couple players with it. And then on the other side, Floormen, I mean, they're very damage heavy, right? They're not playing like a support. So technically, the soul difference they have isn't that big of a deal because they still have a ton of damage behind this, but they have to worry about how much healing Gibbs could do in particular, especially with that health Nova pairing with the Guardian's word. But they're trying to set up for a hook here.
Yeah, and to extend the lead. The thing about Floormen is with the comp they're running, Jason, they actually can't get that far behind. They're not a team that has a lot of come from behind options. This is about as far back as they want to get because what they have where Bunny with Clock is a stronger front line. What they're not going to be able to do is generate picks with their hero comp if they get 20k or so behind. It's going to be very rough. as we see AVG right now, a bit under the gun, but using movement tech to just quickly slide out of the way, but it comes at the cost of losing the Guardian. I don't know if Bunny of Clock is going to push us up too much more, but the Hyper Beam comes out, and AVG just looking for a little bit of poke before seeking shelter underneath the Walker.
The way Bunny with Clock have been setting up, as we saw previously in the mid lane, Floormen really have to respect where Cool Cheese is going to be, because like they're specifically setting up for ways for him to get a hook to open up the kill. You can see on their minimap on the right-hand side, potentially going for a hook at some point. Actually, he's going to be teleporting over towards the left as they do look to swarm over Lord and M and Poshipop here, and even denying away some of these centers as well. I mean, that lead, it's down to 3K. It was much worse than this before. But you're very right when it comes to like the picks. Like I feel like there is a clock ticking for Floormen if they want to have a chance to win this game, just based off the fact that there's a bebop against them.
I think the biggest thing for Floormen is when you look at the scaling, like, yes, their front line is good, but super late game, Mirage and Yamato are going to be a real problem. Also Pocket on top of it. Like, at the very minimum, you're all going to have to pay the Divine Barrier tax. And you don't even get the free Affliction removal from Viscous anymore. But overall, the fact that Floormen is able to get this back within 4K is a good sign, and I mean, realistically, they should be getting their bread and butter on earn fights right now when it's Bunny with Clock that has to adapt and sort of give space to Floormen with the comp that they have.
Just wanted to quickly note, Gibbs did max his little helpers. Did not go for the ult max, but I can kind of understand that. Go for that second, considering you're not really expecting big brawls, though the nap time did definitely save them on the last earn turn, and as we see both teams yet again fully stacking this right-hand side, looking for the initial pickup, looking for that fight around it, hopefully pick up some kills and turn it into more. So you hear the Nox Nostra come out and the full-on push coming through.
They need Mirage to travel over fast. Floormen diving on in. Hyper Beam not settling them too much. Lord and M, though, maybe about to fall on the outskirts. About 0 HP for Lord and M. But as we go, a lot more room being created here by the Floormen. However, the Urn gets caught by Bunny with Clock. Like, oof. So Bunny with Clock, they get Urn control, and if you're Floormen, you really have to contest the turn in here, Jason, as, you know, we just got the $50 donation to the prize pool from Speedman.
Yeah, no comment left. Kind of want to make one up, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to put words in their mouth. The Urn, it's actually not even being turned in. It's kind of hovering over towards the middle of the map, trying to put onto the right player, which is Tanner. Gonna be looking to be the one to run it on forward here. And I mean, honestly, I kind of like how they didn't use the Traveler out of Aiden to get over towards that lane, because he's actually fun enough falling behind Poshipop just slightly when it comes to farm. And if you're Bunny with Clock here, you just don't necessarily need to go for the turn in. You're maximizing the amount of farm at the moment because there's no one counter pushing against you. And he inevitably will get damage onto this Walker if they just play this one safe.
Gibbs has nap time for this, and the Urn is turned in. Tanner doesn't get interrupted. Clean Urn turn in here for Bunny with Clock. And they may be looking for a little bit more. Arctic looking to go in. Flying Strike. Diving in deeper. Shout Transformation, though, nearly over. Lands a Power Slash right on the backhand side, but also just gets cut down by League. Hot Pursuit off the killing blow. Gets the reset. Hungry for a little bit more. Looking towards Matt right now, who just cloaks on out. That may be the end of the fight.
Walker ZP. An entire Walker all to himself, 18k up to 20,000 souls. Yes, they lost Arctic, but if no one else dies, this is such a big win for Bunny the Clock because they got the Urn as well.
It's a big macro win. And yeah, you lose Tanner, but what's more important, Tanner's life once or the Walker? The answer is always going to be the Walker. So for Bunny with Clock, you think about the macro advantages they've gotten here, Jason. They still got the Urn turn in, and they got a Walker, and they gave up, like, what, 2 kills in the exchange? That is incredibly good, and also, you know, gets a flex slot, which we've seen games recently where teams have gotten to about 22, 23 minutes, and you can see that they are flex slot locked. Like, it is impacting the builds tangibly, so not something that's going to be a worry for Bunny with Clock this game.
So, it looks like Goober going for a disruption build here. He's got cooldown reduction, he's got duration, he's got max ball and warp stone. So he's 100% look at a bounce on it. If you guys have seen his TikTok, he's going exactly for that. Looking across the board, trying to see if there's anything else that kind of stands out for me. Looking at, you know, Rem Gibbs, he's got 4 actives already. So Transcendent cooldown most likely coming next out of him to get the cooldowns lower on that. But like Heroic Aura, Guardian Ward, Health Nova, Silence Wave, he already has so much in his kit now. that he basically pays for himself. I mean, initially, like, he's not going to be that strong, but the fact you have 4 actives now to use in these fights, and you're able to hop around.
Jason, the jungle efficiency at Floormen is unreal. For the amount of objectives they've lost and being behind a walker, the fact that it's within 4,000 is unbelievable here so far. As we look here, a little bit of engagement taking place off near the mid. You look at Matt. A little bit over half HP as things cool down for just a moment. Kulchizo looking to heat up here, off on the side, and gonna get a big old goo ball in the face.
There's the bounce.
As the warp stone comes on in, Goober continues to bounce on it, as Kulchi's wondering, what in the world have I run into? Desperately seeking refuge into the sky to get away from that one, but the rest of Floormen, they're seeking an opportunity here and now. Shiv taking a look at Abrams. Goober still looking very, very healthy. Knocks Nostra in over the top, in from Lord NM. Sanguine retreat after a bit under pressure. League taking down Gibbs in the middle of the melee, down at half HP himself, but more than enough time to make some space for AVG to get in there. 2 down for Bunny with Clock, and this is dangerously close to something that could be a mid-boss opportunity.
Not to mention buffs coming up in 30 seconds. Able to turn it around, though, to take down League, and AVG's already low. But for Floormen here, you almost just want to get away from this one, because Ricochet Toxic Bullets already online here for Aiden. And we're going to see, I would assume here, Bunny with Clock try to position themselves around these buffs. I mean, Gibbs has just respawned back in. It seems like Rocker will pick up the right-hand buff. Bunny with Clock will get the left. And the urn should be spawning, I believe, on the right-hand side of the map here, too. So I wouldn't be too surprised, ZP, if we see both teams, or sorry, on the left side. So I'm not surprised to see both teams group up yet again here for another fight on the pickup.
The urn fights have not been too kind to Floormen so far. When they've gotten control of the urn, they haven't been able to get the turn in, and when they lose control of the urn, they haven't been able to deny it. Tanner, first one on the spot, just quickly grabs the urn and runs away. We'll see if there's a penalty to be paid, but so far, it looks like a relatively clean grab. But okay, look at the mini-map. This is all the hallmarks of an interception. AVG on one side, League on the other. The urn is dropped loose. We'll see if they're able to grab it here. Goober once more rolling in and continues to warp stone on Tanner. Tanner this time getting the treatment that Kulchi's just got a little bit ago. And this is a long reposition for Arctic. I mean, while this is going on, the rest of the fight still taking place. His team chasing down Goober at half HP, but was able to just roll on out.
That was a 4-on-6 out of Floormen, and they denied the urn. They bought time for Floormen to take a walker in the mid lane, and they bought time for Rocker to push out that right-hand lane. Like, that was a massive win. And the thing was, Floormen didn't even have, like, all the ultimates online either. Bunny the Clock had so many ults ready to go for that fight. They had shared transformation. They could easily net themselves into some kills. We're going to see a catch here onto Rockers. Kulchi's now under pressure, trying to back away towards his team. And Goober going to be coming on towards the side. But Poshpop, he's pushing a Walker too. So we talked about a macro win from before the last turn. Floormen are doing the same now.
Urn turned in once more for Bunny with Clock, but was the price to be paid? Kulchi is already low, hit with the killing blow. League still on the hunt for a little bit more. Fight though, Bunny with Clock kind of reconsolidating. And now perhaps looking for a chase down of their own, this time looking towards Goober and Rocker. Rocker very, very low. But it does look like Rocker was able to get away. AVG though may not be as lucky here, Jason. That's a lot of blue and just one goat, and you may be durable, but this may be testing the limits as Tanner comes in for the finish.
But that's still fine, right? I think giving up Urn and getting 2 walkers, pretty much, right? It wasn't 2 walkers like one by one right after another, but they got the left hand and the mid lane walker down. They closed the soul lead. They gained an extra flex spot over their opponents. Now they just have to be careful here because they do have a lot of ultimates online to go for the contester on this fight, but it's going to be Arctic with Shadow Transformation being very hard to lock things down. Just saw the Listic over the EU. Show and Tanner immediately go straight for Rocker, trying to go for the deny.
This is huge. Gets rid of the incoming damage from GT in over the top. And is just buying a ton of space. Now, the mid-boss is still up while this has been going on. Arctic ends up falling. Poshi might be able to find one. The nap time in close quarters. May have hit 2. Aiden, though, in a decent spot here as Mirage was able to pick up 1. Tanner, super low in the fight. Actually really in a tough spot. The Floormen are healthier here so far, Jason. Goober out of the goo ball, looking to make a little bit more space. Up over the top, such a strange position for this fight to go down, and we go into the hallway of death. League once more, another killing blow unleashed over to the side. And Floormen, this has worked out beautifully for them, Jason. They're gonna get a clean rejuve.
Man, we were just like crazy Bunny with Clock on their macro play, but Floormen have completely flipped gears here in the last couple minutes of play with the Urn. 2 walkers contesting mid boss and taking away all 3 rejuves from Bunny with Clock. And now get the lead for the first time in this game. Even Lord M closing out a kill onto Gibbs, delaying the respawn towards the rest of the team. That honestly, there's a world they could get this 3rd and final walker down of the game. And there's a tip, ZP. Do you want to read it?
Absolutely. It's from Asian EZ saying, quote, pulling from the Venator vote fund to help get to 2,000. Much love to the team at DLNS. Well, much love to you, Asian EZ. The players certainly believe in it. And also, honestly, I'm voting Venator. I've been converted. Now that Silver is in, all my votes have gone to the Priest.
I've been just saving my votes since I already got Graves. And at one point when I'm streaming during the day, from all the games I played, I ask, okay, the first person to like answer a question, you get to choose where my votes have gone. They've gone to Apollo, they've gone to Venator, and I've got a stack to use for tomorrow. But let's be honest, AP, it's probably gonna be Venator tomorrow. Or yeah, tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I think so. All the data that we have, the unreliable polling data from the Discord, which has actually been 100% accurate so far, says Venator. But we'll see. Do you think there's a lot of Celeste fans out there that may be a little annoyed? But Jason, let's talk about the game state here for a moment. Floormen, even though they were losing objectives early in the game, they stayed in it with really good jungle control. And finally, they were able to have that last mid-boss fight, which went extraordinarily well for them. And you look at who's gotten farmed here, it's been pretty well spread out, except for Pashi, who's gone quite big on the Geist.
Yeah, 30k, man. I don't think he's done that much damage in these fights. I'm really looking towards like Goober, League, AVG, and Rocker. I mean, even Lord and M. I think he's kind of set himself up for a position a little bit later on in this game when they do inevitably need him. But the thing is, on the other side, like, it's really just Aiden now. Like, Arctic's fallen off a little bit. I mean, he's still relatively strong. I won't deny that. But he hasn't been able to maintain the pace like Aiden has, or be able to match it on the other side. But with League, I mean, with the changes to Shiv, like maxing Ultimate, I believe I want to say he did it second, but like maxing Ultimate so early, you just see the impact when it comes to these fights, especially with how much damage they have on their team for Floormen. It's really easy to get those resets off.
I think Shiv just provides so much unique value in competitive setting where the nerf he got, by the way, to Knives was catastrophic. That is a nerf that would have killed most other characters, yet Shiv today has still been a top pick and has been dominant. And also with 3 rejuve charges, Bunny with Clock, they look at the idea of like, do we want to contest this urn? And the answer is a unanimous hell no from the rest of Bunny with Clock, who, you know, you look at the overall state of the game, yeah, it's a mere 15k, but this is tough. This is going to expand. You still have about a quarter left on the rejuve, and presumably Floormen, you'd think they would try to get some base guardians here before it's all over, but they are running out of time to make that push. If it happens, Jason, it looks like it's going to go down on the left-hand side.
Who needs a gun?
I don't hate this recent pickup though out of Aiden. Silencer with Ricochet. Man, if you hit your shots, which we know he can, just imagine proccing Silencer plus Toxic Bullets puts your Jin mark on an entire team. The Silencer, most importantly, I think that's like probably the most important part of his kit, because it's going to shut down so many players on Floormen's side. His Pulse Prep's really only the M1, but he needs to be using spells as a Geist to keep his Berserker stacks up and to really kind of hit some power.
Well, with the last bit of the Rejuvenator, we have a full commit onto the right-hand side from Floormen. Goober, once more, rolling around. Cool Cheese getting caught in the crossfire, and the Walker's going to go down relatively unceremoniously, but Aiden's going to try and make it a trade here, Jason. You look at the status of the map, he's going to get good damage on this Walker. I don't know if he has enough to actually take this out without getting punished. I mean, he can take it, or at the very least, he's going to be able to Traveler out, but yeah, he gets it down around half. He's going to try and save the Traveler, but this could be a mistake.
Does he get Hyperline? Looks like he does not get Hyperline. He does travel out eventually. And actually, I need to see, does Poshipop have Spellslinger yet? Because that's really where his power spikes, like that's where he really needs, right? Is the ability to cast spells where Silencer's going to shut him down for spells.
He's at 35k, yeah.
So like Silencer's going to do a lot of work to shut down this Geist indirectly if he can get the procs on Pashi.
This is where Geist probably feels the best. Ahead of most of the game, you've gotten some of your key items online. Also Spellbreaker. I mean, you talk about an item that got upgraded to GOAT status with the recent changes. Spellbreaker just adds another layer of tankiness and survivability, that you get the extra debuff reduction in on top of it. So Pashi going to be a gigantic problem, even though, even at 28k, it feels like the person that's been actually causing the most problems for Bunny with Clock has been League. Just in how every substantial team fight has had 2 to 3 at times executes.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's just kind of the nature of the comp, right? 5 players who could all do damage, no support. Sorry, 6 players, I should say. 5 other players besides League. You're gonna set up. Like if League's job, I think, is just to stay alive and execute. I don't even think he necessarily has to do a lot of damage himself, right? Unless he stays back, gets executes, it saves the team, makes it easy to close out these kills, especially like when it's Aiden in particular. But it's really troubling times now for Bunny with Clock, because yeah, you still have that pick potential out of Cool Cheese. But I feel like that window's kind of gone because of how far Floormen have been able to get ahead.
I think what you really need, you need Matt to have an incredible affliction. At this point in the game, when you're a bit behind, the great equalizer would be Matt coming on in and catching Floormen unawares, getting 3-4 people with ult. That is your best condition for a fight, or if you got a clean hook, I suppose. But at this point, a little bit more likely for the affliction engage as Josh Chua comes in with the $50 dono. Was there a message alongside
Pollination.
that?
We need the movement out of
There
him.
you go.
But right before that, the post that came in with another $5 donation saying the final donation for the Venator vote fund. So I think if we did like our math correctly, I think Venator is still technically winning. Is that right? I think so.
I think so. Also, someone came in chat, says, look at the message, says, just tuned in, where the F is hydration? I have bad news for you. Or good news if you like the Hydra Nation branding, but we may be heading to what could be the final fight here. Floormen looking to push their advantage. Oh, geez. In the middle of a rotation. Eyes on League. Nap time thrown out here by Gibbs. Floormen, though, looking undeterred here so far. Looking for the action. Goober going to be a little bit late into the fight as we see Aiden on the back foot. Bit of a disengage now coming in for Bunny with Clock as the urn is out. Now, Floormen, do you continue the chase down or you just grab urn? I think they're just making space for AVG to an extent. Affliction, though, came out from that. So we'll see how much both teams commit here. Bunny with Clock, do they chase down? I don't think it was a very big affliction, Jason.
Well, we at least know it hit one person. That's to be Lord and M. There's really not many ultimates left online here. It's basically just Arctic. At least for them, League is low on HP, so if like realistically, he's not going to be sticking around in this fight. I think if the chase down the Posh Pup, this would be ideal, but Posh Pup's still at 38,000 souls on that retreat. That Mystic Reaver coming through, healing up Yamato quite a bit here. Arctic only at 32k, but they've been able to force them back.
Well,
and they were more importantly able to get that urn drop, so now they can pick it up and turn it in on their side of the map.
May have been it was hard to tell. It looked like it was just 1% affliction. It may have hit more in retrospect, like looking at the HP and the retreat that had to go down here, because Floormen basically had to get out of the fight and full give up the urn, and now I don't think they're gonna be able to intercept the time. They're certainly trying, they're looking, they have puddle punches on deck, but no, they're not able to stop Tanner. They may be able to make him pay for his life for the attempt, and they do, but you take the urn in any case if you're Bunny with Clock.
Still
But losing two, this is really bad, Jason.
Yeah, and mid boss is up here, ZP. 60 seconds on Tanner and Cool Cheese. Arctic has to pull off a massive play. Aiden, he tries to push up, but they can immediately turn around and catch him without giving him any sort of chance with that ricochet. They even need to go for mid boss right now. They can start taking some base gardens here and then retreat back away for the rejuve after.
Got a lot of macro options here for Floormen, as this could be a game-ending lead. Lord and M finding Matt on the very end. Who's stuck right here towards the back? It's Arctic. Shout transformation. Probably not going to save you here when you're surrounded by enemies on all sides. That's going to be another staggered kill in against Bunny with Clock. And now, if you're Floormen, you have an easy first-class ticket into the mid-boss, and you're still getting some base guardians at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Rem's good, but I don't think Rem's good enough here to stop or deny this one away. So now a second read, you go over to Floormen. Gonna be looking at a 30,000 plus lead when this is all done and dusted. Yeah, I mean, ZP looking at this. I mean, technically there is a world that the Bunny with Clock can win, but that's a very difficult world to get into and to live in.
Yeah, and it shows that people are like, no, what if you got the biggest nap time? It's like, dude, he could come in with like domain expansion C-SPAN, and that probably was not going to result in any rejuve contests. So yeah, 214k, the 185k. The problem here is that when you've given up 3 rejuves, even if Cool Cheese is able to land a good hook, it's not going to lead you to the win condition the way you want, especially if it's when Floormen is pushing the base. The best scenario for Bunny with Clock is that you get one of those picks in the middle of the map somehow. But it's really hard when you're just dealing with this level of stat disadvantage.
Methlin coming in with a $50 donation straight into the prize pool. Remember, we do not take a cent of this. It all goes to the players. And the note is, Rem is so cute.
It's
I didn't
true.
know you changed your name to Rem ZP.
You know, I just have to, you know, couldn't let them know. But the secret's out.
Oh! I don't know why I did that. I had the sudden urge to hit it.
It's been a while. Lord NM has not died in a very long time. That's why he's kill streaking right now, Jason. The woos have been, you know, a little bit deprived. As the latter half of the game has been far, far better for Lord NM. As, yeah, I mean, Bunny with Clock, in a way right now, Jason, it's not so far gone that something can't happen, but they're truly waiting for Floormen to make a mistake at this point.
All you really can do with Bunny the Clock is just sit in your base. And I think even Tanner is getting a little bit egregious here with that push out, knowing that Goober's in the vicinity. I mean, trying to shove the waves out. I mean, ideally what it's doing is just buying you a little bit of extra time. Keep those waves shoved on any lane you possibly can. So the enemy team has to do something about it, which you can see now League. There's so much time left on Reju, over half the time remaining, and you can see them waiting for anyone to overpeak, looking for that puddle punch out of Goober to open things up with. We have another 100.
That is massive.
Celeste tomorrow, I fear. Thank you so much.
You know,
That deserves
it's
a
not
move from
impossible.
ZP.
Oh,
You do. I think you do it the best out of all of us.
yeah, I have no idea. It's just natural, innate talent, Jason, is what I'll say. But taking a look at the game state right now, I mean, on one hand, it makes sense that Bunny with Clock is playing as passively as they are. On the other hand, while it doesn't feel good to fight 35k down, it feels worse to fight 50,000 down. At some point, you have to commit and take a risk, because if you keep letting the game go as it is right now, you are guaranteed to lose. So, you know, the amount of time left to go for the equivalent of a Hail Mary pass, it's running out quickly.
Thanks for doing your part to keep New York safe.
Yeah. I mean, where do you want to fight? In your base or for the urn? Like, you will have to stand your ground at some point. And all Floormen are doing is just building up this lead even further. They're going to look for a fight here at the last quarter remaining of the rejuve after funneling a lot of the farm out of the jungle. Phantom Strike for Goober. Oh my, I don't want to see him bounce on it. This is going to be disgusting with Warpstone and Phantom Strike.
Yeah, I mean, Goober is just gonna pick one person and be, yeah, I hate this guy in particular. The last thing they're gonna see is just nothing but goo. That's it.
It's an interesting death. Last thing you're seeing is just goo.
It kind of reminds me of, you know, Clayface in the DC Comics would, you know, times if he was, you know, in the process of taking someone out, would just like envelop them in clay.
It's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
That'd be funny though if you had like little pieces of their opponents inside the goo ball when he rolls around. Like,
Oh no, that is horrific.
That is very
Deadlock's a little bit of a dark game, but that's a, you know, you have Viscous being like, I'm squishy. It's like, whoa, is that Bebop's head? Like, what's going on in there?
Or there's maybe, like not being decapitated, but maybe like little artifacts for them, maybe like their weapon or something like that.
All right, so we've been kind of, you know, not to use the game's name here in vain, but a little bit of a deadlock, as it were, Jason, as nothing has really happened the last 3 minutes. Floormen has just been taking anything they want on the map, and Bunny with Clock is holding back. But while this has been going on, what was once a 35,000 soul lead has outright ballooned to over 50,000. And like the win conditions have gone further away from Bunny with Clock as time has gone on.
I kind of think that it's mostly due to the fact that it's a best of one, right? And I don't think they want to blow their lead here, as we do see AVG get hooked in, chain gang in, pulls in 2 players. Reinforcement is going to be here with Goober inside that goo ball. Remember, he's got Spirit Burn now, he's got Phantom Strike and Warpstone. Aiden has no way of getting away from this one. Eventually will fall here to the help of AVG and Goober combined. And with those 2 kills coming through, Bunny with Clock immediately on the defense.
You look at Floormen, it's nothing but heroes on fire. Everyone's kill streaking. The cleanup is there. 3 down for Bunny with Clock. And Jason, this one is pretty much wrapped up, and the narrative of the Rocker return, you do wonder, does it scare melee creeps a little bit? There's a lot of aura and mystique around the cycle and Deadlock, the ancient North American Deadlock cycle. Also, okay, why did Floormen I get mid-bosses up. I feel like you could have gotten shrines and backed out. You had 3 people dead for like 80 seconds here, Jason.
It's a best of one ZP, you know, trying to do everything they can to make sure they're in prime position to win this game and advance against melee creeps. Or maybe they want to drag this out as long as they possibly can until the next hero is released, which I am hearing confirmed. It is Apollo. Who told me that?
Unconfirmed.
I have no idea.
Honestly, unless someone wanted to tell me, it's like, guys, it was actually Crayon playing with Bunny with Clock this entire time, and it's another hostage situation. We'll probably step in if that was the case. But I don't know if this one's going to be going on too much longer. The Rejuve, of course, in full favor of Floormen. Bunny with Clock still waiting for a final respawn. And even if you land a hook here, Jason, the stat difference is just too immense.
Yeah, I mean, Lord and M, who had, what was it, 3 deaths very early on in the game, is even at 49k, ahead of anyone on your team. Hodgepop at 54, Goober's even at 46. Like, everyone on this team is just insanely stacked. You're going to see it here, the reflection of Tanner immediately falling to his death. And honestly, it's just all about holding W here with the first kill coming through. They're going to be closing out this game. 1 shrine left to go. Cool Cheese. Yeah, you can get a bomb off, but you're not really going to accomplish much with this one.
Hey Jason, you know it's late in the night when the Venator, like all the Venator fans have come home from work and they've brought funds for the church. Fats with the $50 tip saying Venator promises you all a $1 trillion. All you have to do is vote for the priest.
You better not be lying here, Fats, or I'm gonna come for you, sir. I would love a $1 trillion. Maybe we can put that back into a Deadlock event, as the Archmother has fallen in the first phase. And so has Bunny with Claw. Gibbs and Cool Cheese left. And Floormen are going to get their berth? I don't know where I was going with that one. They're breached their berth into the finals once again to play against melee creeps for the biggest prize pool we've actually had in our weekly night shifts.
Yeah, I mean, this has gone above the Intel sponsored days off the generosity of the community. That capped at 1,000 per team. This one, it has gone over that. And thank you so much to all those who have donated. But also congratulations to the Floormen. They have retooled their roster. They have broken ties with some of their Hydra Nation roots, bringing back in Rocker and Goober. And for now, Jason, it's worked out. It got them past Bunny with Clock.
Yeah, honestly, I think I kind of want to think that like Lord and M actually deserves quite a bit of credit in this game, because if I was him, I'd be like frustrated. He got ganked very early on. Remember when it was around the 4-minute mark? Cool Cheese had Slowing Hex picked up already, and they get initial kill. And then he dies like almost like a minute or two later after that. But they just kept pushing on. I mean, even with the split pressure, the macro play out of their opponents with Aiden taking the right lane Walker, they just kind of held strong. And I think maybe that's a change in the mentality of the team, because, you know, I feel like in the past they would have like fallen at that point, would have gotten down on themselves. But they end up turning things around on the next turn where they have their own macro play.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, and speaking of macro play, I think the thing I would want to hit most on this is the idea that Floormen were not doing well with objective play in the beginning of the game. They were losing out on structures. They were losing out on, frankly, urns overall. And they were still efficiently min-maxing their side of the jungle. They were min-maxing boxes. And even when they were falling behind in objectives, Jason, the overall difference in the game, it didn't really go beyond 5 to 7K. And they kept it close enough to eventually get a good fight, to get things going their way. And once they had the lead, Jason, they never gave it up.
I mean, that's kind of typical. Well, it's normally like a hydration special, right? We talk about him having a really good mind for macro play, but it's carried over into the Floormen side. You take an inch, you turn it into a mile, and eventually you turn it into a win to get yourself up against melee creeps to dethrone the team who has been non-stop winning here in the North American portion of Night Shift. Sorry, I just read something in chat. It's not what I meant, guys. That's not what I meant when I said the thing.
You broke Jason, chat. Well done.
It's just I can't say it on air. That's the problem. But like I want to, but I can't.
You know,
anyways,
that's a good thing. Take a look at the breakdown, Matt had some pretty good afflictions over the course of the game, but the rest of things, a little bit tough for Bunny with Clock. But you look at things that worked out well for the Floormen. I mean, kind of a team effort across the board. I almost feel like, though, the league contribution is not entirely well represented here because, yeah, it's 28,000 damage, but also just the driving force behind a lot of these team fights going Floormen's way. Right place, right time, 2-3 killing blows. It felt like every fight. Also, I guess overall in the things, where you look at the 12 killing blows, they really were, setting the tone.
I mean, the big turnaround was that fight at mid-boss. Bunny with Clock started, they made it roar, and then they fought right after. Remember Tanner when he got a catch onto Rocker, and the entirety of Floormen collapsed on top of him, and Lee got like 2-3 kills in that fight alone, allowing them to turn things around, allowing them to get the rejuve themselves, turn it into more urns. You can see here, on the screen right after the 20-minute mark, they were able to pull it off. Then thereafter, I mean, they got 3 rejuves in total. They took down 1 more guard, they took down 3 walkers, and they eventually got the base. Individual plays like that are going to win you games, especially when it comes to a Shiv, and you can just execute killing blow over and over.
Also, before we leave the item screen, just one thing to note here. The cult has never had this bad of a downturn, Jason. Everyone used to be a cultist, and now just none in sight. It is not the item of choice anymore. The recent jungle change put it out of its misery. But now we got to put someone on a pedestal, Jason. Who is your MVP? I got 2 big candidates it could be, but who are you feeling?
I'm feeling Corboa with a $15 donation in the prize pool where he says, vote Rat King. You know what? I'm down for that. We don't need Celeste. We don't need Venator. I mean, who even likes Venator? Let's get Rat King. For me, MVP, hey. I kind of want to give it to Goober, honestly. I guess we are giving it to Goober. I don't know. Who was in your mind the MVP of that game?
It was either Goober or League. I think you can make the case for League because League, hey, nerf Shiv a million times, doesn't matter. He was making a lot of those team fights work, but Goober is also the one on the front lines initiating and also, frankly, rewriting a narrative that badly needed to be rewritten, where the Viscous community has lost their mind, with people recently being like, oh man, Viscous may be the worst hero in the game. And it's like, no, have you looked at the Viscous kit? This hero is still good, and people forget that this hero is still good. Like, okay, he can't gun carry anymore. The rest of his kit is ridiculous as... Oh man, that interaction, Tanner with the charge, and still gets Goomba stomped by the ball at the very end. But look, I think Viscous' overall kit is incredibly powerful, and no one gets more out of it than Goober.
Yeah, call Goober a donut because I'm gonna glaze him up here. I think the fact is, he's shown you can play Viscous in so many different ways. We've seen the roulette Viscous with Lucky Shot and right clicks and Express Shot. We've seen the flying ball assassin where he jumps in with Majestic Leap and hits you with a splatter and just bursts you down. We've seen ball builds. We've seen him in this game single-handedly control Aiden, which is bouncing on it constantly. There is no Viscous as good as him in the game right now, at least in North America. I would love to see like a 1v1, like maybe Hoot or D-Mob versus Goober and see who wins out on this one. But the fact is, you don't really see anyone draw bans towards Viscous. And I would say Goober is almost that good that you kind of have to, or figure out some way to deal with him, because he can do pretty much anything on this character.
Viscous is just in the paradox tier of the hero will get nerfed, people will overreact, and then it's kind of like the old Ice Frog meme where, I can't believe you've changed this, I'm never gonna play again, and then you think about it and you go, actually, it's still actually good, and you eat what's served to you anyways, and kind of the cycle for Viscous paradox within the game. But this is our bracket in Floormen. By defeating Bunny with Clock, they get to move on to our more than $1,000 money match at this point. That's like $1,100 money match, and still could go higher based on your donations versus Melee Creeps. And again, Jason, I'm gonna ride this narrative to the end of the Rocker return upset theory. It's happened so many times in Deadlock, and today could be yet another time it happens.
Honestly, I don't think there's much more to say than that. This is going to be an exciting grand final once again in North America. A best of 3 to see who takes down over $1,000 for themselves and the team, and more importantly, the title of the King of NA here in the Night Shift.